That's what the left has become. How did we get here? Let's talk to a man who I know quite well. I used to work with him. I was a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy, and it's a pleasure to have him on The Balance. Cliff May, welcome to Newsmax.
It's a pleasure to see you, Sebastian.
So you have a bit of a background in media, to say it, put it a little bit mildly. And I need you to respond to a couple of things. So first off, we have the New York Times headlines that after the so-called hospital bombing by Israel, they had to doctor them again and again and again. They had to change their own headlines when the story about who actually bombed it became apparent. Very, very devious. But worse than that, here's CNN, and this just infuriates me. Erin Burnett on an 85-year-old hostage and how nicely the killers treated her.
The fact that she's saying she was held underground for more than 2 weeks, that there was shampoo, there was antibiotics, there was a guard per hostage in the experience she had, that there were medics and paramedics, and obviously she is elderly. The other woman who was released also elderly and had medical needs, and that they had the medicine needed, and if not, something similar to replace it. It is pretty stunning.
Shampoo. Now, I did a little bit of research. This 85-year-old woman, I tweeted out a before photograph of what she looked like before Hamas took her hostage and compared it to the photograph of her afterwards. That's supposed to make you believe that she was treated well. This is a woman whose husband is still being held hostage. Cliff, can you talk to us about what the legacy media has become in America?
Well, it wants moral equivalence, but a lot of it is worse than that. If these reporters at places, I'm afraid, like the New York Times, and that's my alma mater. I was a foreign correspondent there. I was an editor there. I was a city reporter there. All that sort of stuff. They have learned in our universities a sort of neo-Marxism, which says that there are only oppressors and there are the oppressed. And if you're an oppressor, you can do no right. If you're an oppressed, you can do no wrong. You can murder, you can rape, you can cut the heads off babies, you can take elderly women hostages, drag them into a tunnel. And that's okay because there's because that's the way we see the world. That's this vision we have. And then for the New York Times to be credulous about Hamas telling them, first of all, that there's this bomb or something fell and didn't actually hit the hospital. As you know, it hit the parking lot, but Hamas says, no, it hit the hospital. Hamas says within minutes, 500 are killed. You couldn't count them in that time. Hamas says this was an Israeli strike. All of that goes, okay, we'll accept all of that. And of course, the Israelis can't respond as fast because they have to say, well, we have to investigate and find out. Now, we know for sure what happened. Islamic Jihad, which is an ally of Hamas, launched a missile towards Israel. Part of it broke up, fell in the parking lot next to the hospital. And organizations like Al Jazeera are going to say, we don't know what's going on. But even CBS is saying, well, people in Tehran, people in Yemen, they don't believe any of that. That's what you're reporting?
Yeah. I want everybody to understand that what we're witnessing in the Middle East wouldn't have happened without Iran, the theocracy that calls us the great Satan, calls America their primary target. Israel is just the near target. And if you want to understand the threat that is the theocratic dictatorship of Iran, you need to go to fdd.org. You need to check out the work of Cliff and his colleagues at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. I thought that I was hoping your foundation would be irrelevant by now, but sadly it isn't. Next up, thank you, Cliff. Next up, I'm going to share with you perhaps one of the